All right, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this year, his name is Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. We're not sure of his affiliation to the human race or to the robot world, but he does work for Cinemablend.com. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just regular human things, you know.
My son Jace last night in the bathtub, he was saying something, and he said, my human hands or something. I forget what he said, but it was like, the f*** are you talking about?
The singularity is inevitable. The singularity is inevitable.
Oh, God. Well, this is the first episode of the new year. We're recording on January 3rd. There's a partial reason for that. We'll get to it here in a little bit. But otherwise, we will probably be doing some time traveling coming up here. What's the movie that we're Night Swim, right?
Yes, Night Swim. It is one of the first big releases of the year, and it is also, I think, a Blumhouse horror movie about a pool with secrets that lurk below the surface.
Yeah, it looks goofy.
I'm so interested because of the fact that I see this, and yeah, it's played serious as a heart attack in the trailer, and it looks like it has potential. But at the same time, all I can think of is Patton Oswalt's bit about watching the movie, I think it was Deathbed, the bed that eats people. And just, yeah. I mean, it's like every time Christmas comes around, I think of his bit knocking the Christmas shoes.
Yeah.
Because there's a wonderful bit where he tears into that song. And just whenever you get a comedian that really digs into something like that, like it's beautiful. And that's Patton Oswalt's bread and butter. And I'm not sponsored in any way, but I highly recommend people read Silver Screen Fiend. It is Patton Oswalt's book about how he was so obsessed with movies at one point in his career, he would go every day to the New Beverly to see something. And then the streak ended when Phantom Menace came out and, like, broke his soul.
I remember seeing Phantom Menace. We saw that at the Springwood 9. A bunch of guys from my graduating class went and saw it.
So that actually, you know what? That's a fun thing to shift to because thinking about this new year that we're in, 2024, it is the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace this May.
May 19th, because we went and saw it. I want to say it was it the night before we graduated? I'm trying to remember because the senior year at my high school, North Polk, here it's in Ullman, Iowa, you went on your senior trip, and the senior trip was always to Washington, D.C. So you would drive out on a bus, go to there for a week, come back, and you would graduate. I can't remember if we went like before the senior trip or if we got back into town and then a bunch of us went to it like the Saturday before graduation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My younger brothers, some friends of mine and I made a plan, and we like skipped school that day. And I remember the radio called it Wookie Hookie because so many people were like calling out of work, staying out of school. So we went opening morning. We got the tickets for opening morning and went that morning to go see it together.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I went on to see it like 5 times in the theater. I remember the trailer first dropping and just blowing me away because it was like, wow, I was just getting into Star Wars around that time.
Yeah.
Like episode 1 came out freshman year of high school. I was just getting into Star Wars about middle school, I want to say. And that, like the fall of 98, you have like that first teaser and it was just amazing. You didn't know what a Jar Jar Binks was. You didn't know what Darth Maul was. You just saw these things.
A double lightsaber. What?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Like you saw that and you a brick. It's like, whoa.
You know, one of the weird parts of that movie was that I didn't notice it until later on. Like it wasn't an immediate thing. But
tell me.
At the beginning of the movie, when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are trying to get off the ship, right at the beginning, you know, there's that part where all of a sudden the one droid show up and they're like, attack droids or, you know, whatever. And then they run down the hall, but instead of just running, they like jump to warp.
Oh yeah, that big jump.
And it was like the warp effect where they just like blurred and were gone. It was like they never did that again in any of the series.
Well, yeah. I mean, you saw other Jedi abilities, but you never saw like a jump that big from that point.
It was crazy, man.
I remember like the space battle was one of my favorite parts when I saw it. Like that was the part I would eventually, when it got to the fifth time, it's like, okay, when's the space battle happening? When's this happening? When's that happening? Like some movies, when you get to seeing it that many times in the theater in that like short proximity, it's like, okay, I'm waiting for this moment to happen. I'm waiting for this moment to happen. I'm waiting for this to happen. I can just mentally check out through like trade negotiations and you look like an angel. Even though we all kind of go back to that, and it's like, age gap.
Yeah, but God, was he lucky. I mean, not with the whole being burnt to a crisp thing and getting your arms and legs cut off, but Natalie Portman.
Well, it's either you have a happy life with Natalie Portman or you lose the high ground.
But at least he could say he did.
Yeah, he did lose the high ground.
Yep. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. One weird kind of anniversary, and the only reason I bring it up is because I'm a geek. The day that we're recording the main part of this is in January 3rd. It is a very special anniversary, and since we dove into Star Wars for a few minutes, we're going to dive into the opposite side of the coin and Star Trek, as it was back in 1993 on January 3rd that Star Trek Deep Space Nine premiered.
Yes, and I believe that was with Emissary Part 1 and 2, correct?
Yeah, it was boring.
Well,
listen,
yeah.
Truth be told, as a Star Trek fan, I will fully admit that it took a long time for Star Trek Deep Space Nine to get its footing and figure out what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
But God, does it have some of the best characters and more interesting plot lines in the entire series. Not just what was happening at the time, but overall Star Trek. It's some of the best stuff.
I was going to say, like, sometimes it's hard to really get it out the gate.
Yeah.
To get it right out the gate. And I will say one show that kind of did that and was a adversary to Deep Space Nine was Babylon 5, which would air its first pilot movie on February 22nd, 1993. But then the January 26th, 94, the show actually started. And I'm going to have to put a pin in that to mention that when it comes up, because it's 30 years of Babylon 5 this year.
There's some interesting stories relating to DS9 and Babylon 5 and their creations and their, I haven't read up on it in a while, so I don't want to dive too far into it. But
me neither, but I know there was a healthy grudge there.
Yes. Of, hey, we did this first. Hey, go yourself, that sort of thing.
I mean, if there's anything that J. Michael Straczynski cribbed from for Babylon 5, it wasn't Star Trek. It was Lord of the Rings, especially when you get to season 3. Because he's even admitted it, that he is such a huge fan of Lord of the Rings that it was one of the influences for what he was doing with that show. And then season 3, there's certain things like certain events and character names and location names that are just very Rings heavy.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that I give JMS a lot of credit for, I think he was the first writer that did wrote a whole season themselves, if I remember correctly. And he had such an intricate way of plotting the show that he pre-planned the whole five years at the beginning. He had trap doors for characters that if anybody had got sick or left the show, there was another way that their character would go, and that things would change because of it. And it's just still an amazing testament to storytelling. And I still need to watch that new movie, The Road Home. I've been waiting to watch it because my good friend Chris, he's the one that introduced this to me in high school. And it's sort of been one of the things that we bonded over, and I really want to experience that with him.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. Back to Deep Space Nine real quick. If you go through there, and I can't think of what the name of it is off the top of my head, but it's where they all it's What We Leave Behind. I think it's a documentary.
Oh, yes.
If you ever get the chance to watch it, I think it's for free on YouTube.
I thought I saw that too. They even go into the what they would have done for season 8 were it approved.
It is really, really, really interesting where they wanted to take the story and what they wanted to do. And then everybody, Star Trek fans, I think, are still hoping for the crossover and Cisco being, showing up with Picard and seeing some of those other characters show up again.
Yeah, I don't know how much they've actually revisited Deep Space Nine, and besides obvious like little things here and there in Lower Decks.
They did the Lower Deck stuff where they actually had some of the voices back. In Picard, in one of the trailers, one of the Bajoran tablets that was featured in the show.
Yeah.
Which kind of let everybody, it was kind of a red herring, but it was on the desk of Picard. So everybody was like, holy shit, is Sisko coming back?
Oh, I think I remember hearing all that.
You know, so there was some thought as to, okay, what's going on here type stuff, but that's been kind of it. I don't know if what's his name wants to come back.
Avery Brooks.
Yeah, but God, it'd be awesome. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's probably one of those things where like that would be akin to getting Christopher Eccleston to go back on Doctor Who, which we've seen how difficult that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him for his reasons. I cannot blame him at all.
No, not at all. And, you know, I know what's his name has, Avery has done some, I keep saying what's his name, but sorry, my brain is.
Avery Brooks.
I didn't get much sleep last night. It's been a long few weeks, but Avery Brooks.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, is still a professor over here at Rutgers.
I believe so.
Yeah.
God, that'd be a cool class to take, would it not?
It would. Like another real good friend of mine, Mary, she went to Rutgers for a little while, and she's like, I always wanted to go like talk to him or like go to his office hours, but she never mustered the gumption to go do it.
I just imagine talking to the man would be like listening to an old jazz album.
Oh yeah, just really rich and insightful commentary, and I feel like that would be such an experience.
I would be A-okay with that. That would be a good one. He just looks cool too.
Oh yeah, and he's also one of the many Star Trek characters that appeared on Gargoyles, or Star actors that appeared on Gargoyles.
What a great TV dad!
Yeah, I haven't seen all of Deep Space Nine. I have like some experience with it, but I remember him being a good TV dad.
If you ever bring up the whole thing of TV dads, I think his name should be brought up more.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a forgotten TV dad, and he was a great TV dad. Yeah, he was on a space station, but
people don't really think of Trek captains as dads. They don't really think of them as family people. Like, you don't really think, well, even in Janeway's case, like, I don't even remember if Janeway had a family.
She was engaged to be married, and she had a dog.
Oh,
and
then all this happened.
Yep, when they got back, because they came back to it, when they finally made contact and she got a letter from her ex-fiance who thought she was dead, moved on, got married, and then told her about how her dog had a litter of puppies and stuff.
Oh.
So they definitely went back to it, but no, Ben Sisko, Avery Brooks as a TV dad is very, very underrated. So, Yep, Deep Space Nine premiering 31 years ago today. So very cool stuff. And boy, that lives in my head an awful lot. I'd love to see him go back to Deep Space Nine. God, that'd be awesome. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now as we record our first show of the new year. As we did come back from vacation, the wife and I caught up on some movies. Just a couple quick notes. Oh, we did finish Marvel's What If.
I still need to start it. How is it?
That's all right. The last episode was kind of like, It wasn't as good as some of the other episodes. You remember how we were talking in the last episode about, I believe her name is Kahori, the new Native American? She's awesome. I want a movie about her.
Ooh, I'm excited for that.
It was one of those things where she was amazingly powerful, and there was never the, it's just a girl thing.
Yeah.
It was just, she's awesome, here's why, and she's going to go free her people. It was everything that like a Captain Marvel wanted to be for the introduction of a new character.
Yeah.
Done in just the best way possible. That was probably legitimately my favorite episode of the entire second season. I want to say that one was it was episode 6, What If Kahori Reshaped the World? And apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name, but it was really well done. I want that movie now.
Well, I'm definitely going to need to catch up with this.
With Disney in mind, big news happened earlier this week as the new year started. Steamboat Willie is officially in the public domain now.
Yeah. That variant of the character is now officially in the hands of the public, and they can do as they wish. And there's already, you had brought to my attention, there's a horror video game.
Yeah.
There's a couple, I think, horror movies. Eclectic Method and a pretty notable remixer on YouTube. He did a Steamboat Willie remix and dropped it like New Year's Day, like just as the stroke of midnight, basically.
Yeah, the movie I know about is called Mickey's Mousetrap, and it looks about as good as that Blood and Honey movie, the Winnie the Pooh,
which is getting a sequel.
Awesome, but the game looks freaking just scary. The game is called Infestation, and it's based on like you're like an exterminator going to this building that's got a rat infestation. And it's one of those ones where the only light is your flashlight, so you don't ever see everything that's happening. And there's a building full of rats that you have to contend with, and then one mutated rat that looks an awful lot like Steamboat Willie. Yeah. It's horrifying is the word I was looking for.
I'm going to have to find the trailer for this and look at it because it does sound pretty horrifying.
It's like, oh, God, what the So...
wow, friends.
This is intro because Disney had fought this for a while, hadn't they?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there were like exceptions and there were legal cases that granted exceptions and what's the word? Deferment of the public domain status. And I'm very curious to see how it turns out. And then there was one person. I saw a tweet online where someone's like, oh, yeah, technically we could bully Disney into thinking that Mickey Mouse is public domain if we keep using him in that way because of this Steamboat Willie thing. Because there's certain, like, recognizable aspects like the yellow shoes, the red pants that were used in some way, shape, or form to promote Steamboat Willie, I guess.
Yeah, the 50th anniversary poster released in 1978 was the original Steamboat Willie movie was black and white, obviously, for animation. But it looks like it was re-released in color, or they at least did a color poster of it.
Yeah. And then there's other people that are like, yeah, that's not how this works. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I watched one show about it because what's funny is I've worked in media for a long time. I still don't completely understand public domain. Like it to the point, like I don't even want to mess with it. Like when we've done podcasting and stuff in the past, like, nah, no thanks.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because another thing that has been mentioned and sort of put on the radar for that is Ian Fleming's James Bond.
Yeah.
Which will apparently be fully public domain as of 2035.
Well, that's right around the corner.
And then, but at the same time, you've got MI6 HQ, one of like a big Twitter account that's it's huge in the Bond community. They mentioned, you can make James Bond stories, comics, games, as long as they don't infringe on any IP, like the gun barrel, the theme, certain inventions. And then another thing they mentioned was there's some countries that it's already in public domain. And that led to a case where someone almost made a James Bond remake with Ryan Reynolds as James Bond. And it was like a Canadian production because Canada is one of the countries that it is in public domain. But eventually they wanted to make a remake of For Your Eyes Only, and it fell apart because it's like, okay, cool. It's not copyright in this country, but there's all these other countries that it is copyright, and we're never going to get this released there. I guess this might be just a concession where it's like, okay, we'll let Steamboat Willie go, but all this other Mickey stuff here, that's us. We still have Mickey.
We don't want to confuse the simple-minded public.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
I would, just simple-minded people out there,
Mickey Mouse, Mickey, he comes down the boat and he starts, turning the wheel, and it's like, and he's excited.
It's a rat. I mean,
he loves people.
It's a rat with big ears and
Has he ever heard of the Black Death? And I want to know these things.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now as we talk about the world of movies. Still going to get to Night Swim here. We'll be doing some time traveling for that. Was there anything else we needed to wrap up with before we got to? We never talked about the couple movies that we had seen, had we?
No, we could.
Yeah, we could do it real quick. And
not to mention, we're still expecting a trailer today as we're recording. The first trailer for The First Omen will be dropping.
Okay.
Oh, you're so excited for it. I can hear.
Yeah.
I am worried too. Oh, it just dropped.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. So
do we need to take a second, watch this?
Yeah, I also need to write it up. I have a shell, but I just need to finish that up and get this out the door.
All right, well, that's where we'll end it right now. We'll come back and we'll talk about The Omen once we do time traveling. And
okay, that sounds good.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll be back here in a few seconds with time travel and the biscuits. All right, time travel complete. I don't have a sound effect this week because I just thought of it and I don't know what to do. Anyways, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com is on the line with me right now.
We're in the wheel of death.
Yeah. Pretty much. You know what? You want to know what my autobiography will be called? Spinning Wheel of Death.
Ooh, that sounds like that almost sounds like false advertising, because it's about you're gonna have some sort of subtitle like a life in radio or something, because they're gonna think you're like some sort of, I don't know, cage fighter or something.
Well, the other thing about it is I don't have the redemption story yet. I don't have I lost everything because I got hardcore into meth or whatever.
Yeah,
part of the story. So I need to complete that. So the meth years are coming.
Become the meth years.
Oh my God, that's funny. We did a thing. We did a thing on the morning show. It was during Shark Week.
Yeah.
And Iowa is really known for meth makers and meth dealers. So we did meth. We did meth week, and we had there was a reporter in a cage watching a meth dealer. And the meth dealer,
oh man,
he was like, "What are you doing in that cage? What are you doing in that? Get a cage!"
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I'm gonna have to call Moose and remind him of that, because at random, whenever we'll see each other, just at random sometimes, get a cage. All right, so last night, I should say, when previously we talked, we were cut off by the Omen trailer coming out because you needed to write about it.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, I mean, there wasn't a ton in the trailer. It was like a minute long, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I like about it.
It was enough to kind of set it up that something was going down, but
oh yeah, this thing plays solely on dread. There's not a jump scare in there. It's just disturbing imagery, slow music, and it's like, okay, I respect that you respect me like this, and I am now interested in this project that I am still a little wary of because I love the original Omen. And obviously, whenever you try to do a prequel like this, it's always a big risk. But this looks, and then you got Bill Nighy in there too, who looks suitably, you don't know if he's going to be menacing or not, and that's kind of cool.
I was just going to say, it sounded when you were setting up the trailer, it sounded like a marriage or a wedding.
How so? Which terminology set you off for that?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and re-listen to it, but what you were saying, it was like...
Atmospheric, slow imagery?
Yes.
Dread?
Dread, yes.
Even though I don't feel that way, I know you like to make those jokes.
Who's joking? Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now. All right, so that is The Omen. When's that coming out?
The First Omen comes out April 5th.
Okay.
And yeah, kind of sucks for Nell Tiger Free, who looks like she's playing the focal character, because she should know about supernatural children as she was on the show Servant for 4 years on Apple TV Plus. But, another thing I will say is I'm very curious to see how this film handles its story because of the fact that it is, when you do a prequel like this and you know where the next movie is going, there's always that worry where it's like, okay, I kind of already know the ending to this. How is this going to be exciting in any way?
Yeah.
But if you do something like X-Men First Class, you forget about that fact.
Yeah.
If you're that good, you forget about that fact, because I remember sitting in First Class, really digging it, and then Professor X gets shot in the back and loses his mobility. And I remember being surprised by it. It's like, whoa, what? Holy shit. Oh, wait, yeah, duh, that's what the character's like. But it's like, if you do it that well, you forget. You just get wrapped up in the story.
Oh, it's good. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. All right, so that's the First Omen. Moving over to the movie, you put out some TikToks last night. We are now recording on Friday the, what the hell day? 5th. Excuse me. You went and saw this last night. What did we think?
First of all, the movie's called Night Swim.
What did I call it?
If anybody wants, you didn't call it anything. You just didn't drop a title. But anyway, the movie's called Night Swim. It's a Night Swim.
You went and saw a movie about, doing the backstroke or something.
Yeah, people jump in a pool. It's an evil pool. Pool,
cannonball.
So Night Swim, like Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy is a cannonball.
Yeah,
good man, Ron Burgundy.
Oh, good times.
Night Swim it's not goofy enough to. It's not silly enough to be just a total fun ride, and it's not serious enough to be scary. Like, seriously, I mentioned in the TikTok, there is a creature design, like one of the spirits in the pool just looks, it looks like a goblin. Okay. Like just this massive pudgy figure with white eyes, and it just did not look good. One of them did not look good.
Okay.
But it's so frustrating because there's this part in the center, in the middle of the movie, where we're starting to learn more about the Night Swim. First of all, I do agree with my wife, that title is bullshit. Because it's like, okay, bad things happen when people are swimming in the pool in the day, too. So, yeah, congratulations, you really didn't explain your title enough. But it gets to a point where it's explaining the lore of the pool. And I like the concept that's used, but then...
That sounds so stupid, the lore of the pool.
Look, when you build, I'm not going to spoil it for people, but when you build a house on an old health resort that has natural springs, things are bound to happen. And I liked that. It takes it's one of those things where it takes a concept that we're all used to being cute and adorable and turns it into horror.
Okay.
But it doesn't go far enough with it. The movie doesn't, through most of the movie, I'm sitting there and it's like, I came up with a whole list of alternate titles this movie could have had while watching this movie.
You know what it sounds like, just from listening to what you've said? It sounds like it needed to pick a lane. Like it was trying to be too many. Like it was trying to be too many different things. It just needed to pick one and go with it.
It needed to pick a lane, and it needed to be a little bit longer and more developed.
Okay.
And it just, when Wyatt Russell gets to go full Amityville for a little while in the movie, that's when it gets to be fun. Like there is some fun in this movie, but it's just so frustrating because it's buried underneath not just little to no development.
Okay.
Or at least not enough for my taste. So, I mean, it's a warm-up act for the year. I've seen worse, but you think of last year where this, like in 2023, Blumhouse and Universal came out strong with Megan, and we were spoiled last year because of that. And now it's like, Night Swim. It's like,
Yeah, that's okay.
However, before we close the book on it, I would like to give you my alternate titles for the film. Swimister, H2O No, What Are You Doing? Deep Trouble, Poltergeist, because there's literally a segment in this movie where they pull from Poltergeist. All right, so minor spoiler. Third act, we really dig into the fact that there's like a portal that's opening in this pool. So what does the mother do? The mother ties a water hose around her waist, ties it to the pool cover crank, and then jumps in like Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite, if you want to make an Italian knockoff of this movie, Aqua Vitae, Aqua Morte. I think that's my favorite one, to be honest.
I like the names better than the story so far.
Yeah, that's basic. Those were basically my notes for the movie. Like, I didn't take many notes on this movie. I wrote down a trailer that I looked interesting. IMAX needs to do a Dune double feature, that sort of thing, and then the titles.
Nice.
Just title-rama.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now. As we wrap up, is there anything else we needed to talk about? Was there anything else that happened since Wednesday that we need to cover?
Well, since we're recording on Friday morning, and it may have already aired, but apparently Jonathan Majors is giving his first interview to Good Morning America since his conviction.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know when it's going to air, but I know it's supposed to be I think it's supposed to be today. According
to the New York Post, he's going to sit down with Lindsay Davis of ABC News Live, which will appear on the morning show Monday.
I must have misread the report because I thought it was happening today. And also, it looks like there's going to be a half-hour special featuring more on-air segments.
Hold on. Dinner will appear on the Good Morning America next week. Yeah, okay, so it is. So I was like, what?
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I remember the report came in yesterday that we heard it was happening. But, okay, so Monday is the Good Morning America segment, and then there's like a half-hour special on the 11th going to Hulu. I have to wonder if there was a clause in his contract or some sort of negotiation where it's like, look, while we're releasing you from your Marvel gig, your first interview is going to be in-house, because you have to wonder if that's maybe some sort of spin, well, not so much spin, but just some sort of device where it's like, okay, we're borked by this, but we'll get something out of it, and it's going to be a story people are going to want to know. So why not, start it at home? I
feel like this interview's way too early.
I am almost certain some people would think it's way too late because just of the way that everything has gone and like how long it took for Majors to even be dumped by Marvel.
But I mean, in the world of, since you've been convicted of this, like, he hasn't been sentenced yet, right?
No, I believe he goes for sentencing in February.
Don't you think it's like you pay your penance and then come back and do the interview, and then you play the remorseful card, or
I don't know anymore.
I'm a different person. That's more what. Wow. And now I'm kind of interested to see what this guy's going to say during this.
And that's exactly why it's happening.
But what's he going to say though?
I have no clue. I don't know what he'll say. I really don't. It's like, what could he possibly say that would? Yeah, that's probably what's going on. Well, it may have the interview may have already been taped, and it's just going to air on Monday. But you could that's probably something that people are going over right now. Like, strategists are racking their brains, and they're thinking about what about this, what about that. There's probably been so much media coaching and everything that's gone into this.
But as well as I do, when big stars go into stuff like this, they're like, "Hey, we don't want to talk about this. We don't." What questions are you going to ask about, being convicted of, assault and that sort of thing?
That's
God.
the whatchamacallit. That's where the media coaching comes in, and the strategists and the sleepless nights.
God, they must be getting paid a fortune. I mean, imagine being tasked with that. Hey, we need you to make him coach him to look good during this.
That's PR spin and crisis management for you. That's the name of the game, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that'll be interesting. So I'm sure we'll talk about that next week. So, all right, we'll end it there. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every week to talk about movies. Mike, you have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Until we meet again in the deep end, my friend.
Into the Deep. That should be the name of the movie.
Ooh.
Chlorine Kills.
Goreen.
Fool for the Pool. Pool Fools. Swimming in deep. I don't know. Anyways, Mike, have a great weekend.
Aqua Vista, Aqua Muerte.